Welcome back everyone, Oz here, and today I've got some r/AmITheDevil for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the posts, giving you my own opinion, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Hey, real quick by the way, GamerSupps is doing a 21% off for all partner codes, so if you want to get some GamerSupp for cheap, go use code Oz at checkout because the sale applies to all items site-wide, so definitely take advantage of that. Every purchase made using code Oz supports me directly, and I do mean directly. The sale starts February 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and is going all the way until February 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Originally posted to r/AmIOverreacting. Am I overreacting for being offended that my parents called a little girl the cutest little girl they had ever seen? I think voice inflection matters a lot here. They said it very empathetically and with purpose, as if they meant every word sincerely. Context: at my brother's wedding, bride's 4-year-old niece was the flower girl. I was 26 at the time. I get it, it sounds like I'm jealous of a 4-year-old, and I'm not. She was an adorable little girl. I also understand that families sometimes kiss the keisters of their in-laws to establish or retain good family relations. The way they said it with such absolutism just rubbed me the wrong way. She is such the cutest little girl I have ever seen, they fawned over and over again. I'm their only daughter, so I felt some kind of way about it. Just standing off to the side like, great. I'm just not a fan of speaking in absolutisms to begin with. I tend to take things very literally. I avoid saying things like, that's the best wedding/party I've ever been to, because it could easily be overheard by someone else whose wedding/birthday party/retirement party I've attended. I don't know, it felt like a burn from my parents. Am I overreacting, or do my own parents think I wasn't that cute? I mean, why didn't they say, cutest kid I've ever seen? Because that would contend with my brother. Why couldn't they have just said, she's adorable, so cute, she did a great job in her role? You can compliment without setting up a favoritism paradigm. Edit to add, they were speaking to the flower girl's grandparents. I think OP has some serious self-worth issues because there is no way you can hear like your parents saying, oh, she's just the cutest little girl ever, and think, oh my god, my parents thought I was ugly. Like, I want to laugh, but I feel actually genuinely really bad for OP because this is like, she very clearly has some like deep-seated psychological self-worth issues like ingrained in her mind here. I also don't think when someone says, damn, that was the best party ever, or oh my god, this is the best pizza I've ever had. I don't think people are meeting that literally or speaking in absolutes. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Oh my god. I also don't think OP's a devil in this instance. I really do think they just need to go to therapy because it sounds like they genuinely have just a ton of deep-seated self-worth issues. Posted to r/AmITheAsshole relationships. Am I the asshole for getting mad at a woman for texting me from a Google Voice number? I, 49 male, matched with a woman named Lady, 25 female, on a dating app. We started talking and it seemed like we were getting along really well. After a couple days, I asked her for her phone number. She gave it to me and we started talking from there. We've been talking for a few days now. Earlier tonight we were talking and I decided to try to call her. When I did, I realized that the number she gave me was a Google Voice number. I texted her and said, Google Voice? You can't be serious. She texted me back asking what I meant. I said, why would you give me a fake-ass Google Voice number? I don't have time for games and I don't like wasting my time. She replied back and said, it's a phone number. What's the difference? I replied and said, it's not a real number. And she replied and said, so? I told her to hit me up when she's serious. And she replied with, it's not a big deal, but okay. A couple of minutes later, she texted me again and said, hey, insert name here. I'm really disappointed with how you reacted to me texting you from a Google Voice number. Frankly, your anger about it was a huge red flag for me. It showed a lack of trust and a level of control that I'm not comfortable with, especially at this early stage. A simple conversation about it would have been fine, but your reaction made it clear we're not on the same page. I was genuinely interested in getting to know you, but this has completely changed my perspective. I'm no longer interested in pursuing anything romantic. I wish you all the best. I replied back and said, baby, I can't take you seriously communicating with you through a fake number. I gave you a real number, so I expected the same from you. Women play too many games over the phone and through the internet. I'm not interested in wasting my time or effort with someone that I don't even know is real. I need proof that you're real, otherwise it's pointless. She replied and said, I said what I said. I replied back and said, okay, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but I won't waste any more time. Have a great rest of your year. She replied back and said, I'm not hurt at all. Plenty more where you came from. Obviously, I dodged a bullet. I replied and said, wow, okay. And she replied back with, okay. Now I'm wondering if I could have handled things differently and if it was really worth getting upset about it. I need some outside opinions, so am I the asshole? Honestly, her using a Google Voice number was an incredibly smart thing to do because now if there's a guy that, she finds out has a ton of red flags, rather than her having to get a new number because he's now stalking her or having to block numbers or God knows what other options she might have to go through because, she gave her number out, she can now just delete the Google Voice number and get a new one without compromising her actual phone number. So yeah, that's pretty smart of her, and I doubt that it's just her doing this because honestly, this seems like a pretty good idea. Also, with you being 50 and her being 25, it sounds like you're more upset that the old tricks of trying to lure someone in don't exactly work like they used to because you can just make a fake number and wash your hands of a situation and walk away. That's also not me projecting or something like that. He literally did state this when he said, women play too many games over the phone and through the internet. I personally wouldn't define someone using a fake number for their own safety to be playing a game with you, but I suppose that's your interpretation of it. Also, real quick, if you want to see something really scary, Google your first and last name followed by your phone number and see what pops up. I'm sure for a good majority of you, the results will scare the shit out of you. Originally posted to r/AmITheAsshole. Am I the asshole for expecting my brother to turn down a job offer from a place I was rejected from? So I, 22 female, have done a bit of modeling. Nothing major, just product modeling for smaller clothing brands. Yesterday, I had an audition for a gig, and my brother, 19 male, came with me because he knows I get nervous before auditions. This particular clothing brand is pretty niche, and honestly, the style is much more in line with what my brother wears. Lots of pinks, pastels, lace, and frills. I dressed normally and went into my audition, but unfortunately, I didn't get it. When I came out, I saw my brother talking to one of the employees, and to my surprise, the guy asked if my brother was auditioning. My brother said no, and the guy encouraged him to try out because he thought he'd be a good fit. I was caught off guard, but played along because the worker was still there. After the guy left, I told my brother I didn't get the gig, and he seemed sad for me and tried to console me. I figured that was the end of it, but as I was about to leave, he asked where I was going. I told him I was heading home, and then he asked, what about my audition? I was completely shocked. I didn't expect him to want to audition after I was just rejected. I asked if he was seriously doing this to me, and he just shrugged and said he didn't see why he shouldn't try. I called him selfish and left. A few hours later, my brother came home and announced that he had been offered one of the modeling spots. I had already told our parents that I got rejected and what my brother did, and my mom was on my side, asking him how he could do that to me. But my dad immediately took his side, saying that me and my mom were being unreasonable. He also scolded me for leaving without my brother, since I was his ride, and even insinuated that I was just jealous. I'm not jealous. I just think that it's incredibly rude and selfish to go after something your sibling wanted but couldn't have. He knew I wanted it, and instead of supporting me, he took the opportunity for himself. My brother thinks I'm an ass, but I really don't see how I'm the bad guy here. Am I the asshole? Edit, by the way, my brother is not even a model. He has no experience, and I know I won't get every job. I understand that. It's the he went for the job. Competition exists in the industry. My familial betrayal isn't competition. I gotta say, it is incredibly fun to read catty posts because they're just a lot of fun to narrate. that tone that comes out is just the natural way of reading it, by the way, but it is still a lot of fun. But Yeah, no, definitely the asshole in this situation, because, like, you left your brother at the place because of your own jealousy, and you couldn't even allow him to get his own modeling gig and just, like, you know, have his own moment to shine. But also, I know nothing about the modeling world, so maybe this is, like, a massive taboo thing the brother did, but at the same time, like, this is his first gig, you should be happy for him. Like, I understand it definitely sucks, and you even recognize, I understand I'm not going to get every gig, but hey, your brother got his first gig. You should be proud of him. Like, you should be hyping your brother up instead of looking at it as him committing some massive familial betrayal and then leaving him to fucking find his own way back. Like, damn, that's pretty cold that you knew that he was gonna audition for it but still went home anyways despite being his right back. Like, your father's right. That was uncalled for and definitely out of jealousy. Posted to r/am I wrong? Am I wrong for not inviting my daughter to my wedding after I was uninvited from her college graduation a few years ago? My ex-wife and I divorced a few years ago after I found out about her emotional affair. I initiated the divorce. I did not tell my daughter the real reason because I did not want to affect her bond with her mom. All my daughter knew was I initiated the divorce, and that her mom tried really hard to save the marriage. So, my daughter was expectedly really angry with me. However, what really hurt me was when she did not want me to attend her college graduation. I was really proud of what she had accomplished, and I was really looking forward to her graduation and her name being called. But when she told me on the call that she didn't want me to come, I took it really hard. A couple months later, however, she called me and apologized, and she was crying a lot on the call. She told me her mom had told her the real reason of the divorce. Apparently, her mom felt really guilty about it, especially after I was uninvited from the graduation. I accepted her apology, but it was hard not to feel some hurt from not attending her graduation. It's been 3 years since then, and I married my wife last week. It was a small private wedding. I only invited a few of my friends and family. I didn't want some fancy outlandish wedding. I debated inviting my daughter to the wedding, but I realized I still had some lingering resentment and didn't want her at the wedding. The wedding, overall, was great, and I did the father-daughter dance with my niece. Last night, my daughter called me. She was really hurt because I did not tell her I had even married, and she found out about it from some Facebook pics and videos. She was also upfront with me and told me what hurt her the most was seeing the video of the father-daughter dance with my niece. I felt guilty about it because she was crying a lot on the call. I told her it was just that my niece is close to both me and my wife. My wife is my sister's best friend, and I told her it wasn't a slight against her at all. My daughter then asked me if I didn't invite her because I was uninvited from her graduation a few years ago. I told her, honestly, that yes, I had some resentment, and I wasn't able to get over it. I also told her that it was my wedding, and ultimately, I had the right to invite the people who I was most comfortable with. Okay, real quick, because I might be just tripping out here, but isn't the father-daughter dance normally for when the bride gets married and the father dances with the bride, not the groom dancing with his daughter? Maybe there's a tradition I'm not aware of here, but I just have to ask. Now, second, I do respect the fact that the father did not want to tell his daughter why the divorce was happening, because he didn't want to ruin his daughter's perception of her mother and, accidentally sour that relationship. Granted, in the process of doing that, he did sour the relationship with his daughter. I do have a bit of a soft spot for this because my father did something similar. My father did not tell me why he and my mother had gotten a divorce while I was growing up, and did not tell me until I asked him when I was 18 or 19. And that's kind of the difference here, is that he probably at some point should have sat down and talked with his daughter after she was an adult and explaining why the divorce happened. Maybe the father thought enough time would pass and it was no longer a sore spot, and that's why, it caught him off guard when suddenly he was uninvited from the graduation. And yeah, that does fucking suck that he was uninvited from the graduation, without a doubt. But his daughter did call him in tears apologizing, and probably felt horrible from the fact that she held a lot of resentment for her father for a majority of her life, not realizing that the resentment was entirely misplaced. And I hope that she did take the time to apologize to her father about that. But what I don't agree with is for some reason this grown-ass man then got petty towards his daughter and didn't invite him let alone inform his daughter that he was getting married, and left her to only discover this on Facebook through third-hand accounts. That's gotta be devastating. Like, your daughter was still a young adult. You withheld the information. She made a decision based upon facts that she did not have. When she found out and learned the full story, she apologized. And you accepted the apology. 3 years later, you're still holding the grudge and didn't invite her to your wedding. Dude, that is some like high school childish behavior. You're a grown-ass man. Act like it. Originally posted to r/helpme. My daughter has been talking to a therapist behind my back. I overheard my 16-year-old talking to a therapist behind my back. She was talking about her home situation with my baby brother and my boyfriend. She was talking to the therapist on the phone behind my back, and I'm glad that she's getting help, but where is she getting this therapy from? She was in pretty deep conversation with the therapist, and I don't know what she needs to see a therapist about. She has a pretty good life and is not hard done by. I'm scared that she will lie about me and say something that will make me seem like a bad mom, because she's known for being too honest and blunt and has no filter. I didn't want to confront her about it, so I left her to it. And why she hasn't told me that she's needed a therapist? ? She literally said she would never get therapy again. There's a lot of language in this post that's definitely a major red flag, like ending it off with she literally said she would never go to therapy again, insisting the daughter's already been to therapy, and my guess would be is the mom was equally as controlling about it. Also, gotta love the sentence of, I'm scared that she will lie about me and say something that will make me seem like a bad mom, because she's known for being too honest and blunt and has no filter. So are you scared that she's gonna lie about you and make you look bad, or that she's gonna be too honest and blunt and make you look bad? Which one is it? Also, not to mention, this may not even be a therapist. She could just be talking to one of her friends and just chatting with them and just venting about her current situation. Like, that happens between friends. Also, according to another post made by the mother, her daughter has an eating disorder. So there's a lot of things going on with her daughter. So the statement of she has a pretty good life and is not hard done by, which I don't know what that means, but still. Mother claims her daughter has nothing to go to therapy about, but then the next day is posting about her daughter's eating disorder. And also, according to this comment here, she's more concerned by the fact that her daughter isn't drinking vodka and whiskey with mixers because it grosses her out than she is about the fact that her daughter is just straight up chugging vodka and whiskey from the bottle at the age of 16. Like, OP's comment history is just a very dark and depressing series of unfortunate events, and it's just very clear that this is just not a healthy environment for anyone involved. Like, just looking at OP's post history, because I was really hoping this was a troll, her daughter has issues with eating disorders, self-harm, violent intrusive thoughts that she struggles not to act upon, probably has BPD, seems to have an unhealthy obsession with Columbine, and also, as mentioned previously, has a drinking problem. The mom's more concerned about her not using mixers. It's just a lot. And the claim that her daughter doesn't need a therapist or doesn't have anything hard going on is just a laughable statement to read again after seeing everything that I just read through. Posted to r/mytheasshole. Am I the asshole for not wanting my dad to walk me down the aisle because he's in a wheelchair? About 3 years ago, my dad was injured in a really bad hit-and-run car accident. He broke just about every bone in his body and left him paralyzed from the waist down. Our relationship has always been really good, but I hate seeing him in pain and, admittedly, try to avoid seeing him because it just makes me uncomfortable. In November, I'm getting married. I've been with my fiancé for 4 years, and he and my dad get on really well. Naturally, the discussion of who was going to give me away came up in the family group chat, and I kept silent after I realized my dad would be in a wheelchair. We always talked about him giving me away and having a dance at my wedding, and I don't want to be reminded of what could have been at my wedding. I messaged my mom privately and told her I want my uncle to walk me down the aisle, as we're incredibly close. She naturally asked why, and I told her that my dad being in a wheelchair would add complications to the wedding. The walkway would have to be widened to accommodate his wheelchair, and he wouldn't be able to hold my arm or give me a proper hug. She was outraged, called me an ableist piece of shit, and removed me from the group chat. My aunt has since called me, telling me my dad is absolutely devastated. Am I the asshole? Yeesh. Update. I appreciate all the people who have messaged me offering me support. Your kind words have meant a lot to me whilst rifling through a bunch of messages telling me to do horrible things to myself. Regardless of what you think of me, telling me these things isn't okay. I'm going to call my dad tomorrow. Update 2. Can people please stop messaging me such horrendous stuff? Think about what you're saying. You may not agree with me or my life, but you're just as bad as I apparently am if you're going around saying stuff like that to strangers on the internet. Update. Not that I owe it to anyone, but I thought I'd give you all an update. My boyfriend and I have decided to part ways, and I've apologized to my dad. Gang, I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know where to start with this one. This fucking sucks. Like I can't even imagine looking at like a father who would have been in a horrendous car accident and be like, sorry, Dad. Accommodations and then making the aisle wider. It's just too much work. I'm sorry. Like, the fuck kind of logic is that? That's just an excuse. Good God. Like, at least karma caught up with you because you got removed from your own wedding group chat, which is kind of funny. But like, on top of that, your fiance also dodged a hell of a bullet too, and I think he realized that with how many red flags you were showing off there, because, good God, were you gonna wear red to your wedding? Holy hell. Poor father. Like, that is just heartbreaking. Like, imagine, like, surviving an accident like that and just being like, I'm going to do everything in my power to still be there for my daughter, and then finding out that, like, she just doesn't have any interest of... It just breaks my heart, man. Am I the asshole for getting the kids Wendys? I, 40 male, have 4 kids with my wife, 40 female. 12 female, 10 male, 8 female, 4 female. Today she was making lunch and I found out that she was making a chicken salad. My kids hate salad, and she isn't great at cooking chicken, so I knew my kids wouldn't eat it. I decided to sneak out and get them Wendys for lunch instead. The kids loved it, and they ate everything. I knew there would have been a lot left behind if we ate my wife's salad. However, my wife is mad at me and says I shouldn't have gone out to get them Wendys because they already had a lunch ready. I told her to relax and that they wouldn't have eaten the salad anyway. She got mad at me and now won't speak to me. Am I the asshole? So Very Sleevy managed to snag one of the comments from this post before it was deleted. This is his excuse as to why he didn't talk to his wife about it. She would have just rejected my ideas anyway. She insists on healthy meals that the kids don't like and doesn't want to always serve them junk food. Usually she's the strict mom and I'm the fun dad. So yeah, he's just an asshole. So when I was growing up, my father and mother had a very different parenting philosophy from each other. They were also divorced, so it made it very complicated going from household to household. Basically, my dad believed that he was a parent first and friend later. He made a lot of choices that younger me definitely did not enjoy and was not a fan of, but older me very much appreciates and understands why he made the choices he made. And when he used to tell me that when he grounds me, it hurts him more than it hurts me, I never believed him. But now that I'm older, I definitely understand what he means by that. Now my mother, on the other hand, while I do love her to death, she definitely raised me as more of being my friend than a mother, and she was more interested in trying to buy my love and affection and was more in the road of, just letting me get away with whatever. As an adult, I now recognize the harm in this, but as a kid, yeah, of course you're gonna be more happy when, the fun parent is letting you get away with whatever you want, because rules suck as a kid. You don't appreciate or understand the reason why they're there. And the father in this story is making that exact pitfall. He's more interested in trying to get the kids to be more favorable towards him rather than doing what's right for them, which, is eating something healthy the kids may not enjoy, like a chicken salad, compared to getting them what they want, which would be Wendys. They don't understand or appreciate the fact that a chicken salad's going to be better for them down the line, and Wendys isn't exactly a good nutritional meal. I mean, yeah, it's fun to have occasionally as a treat, but It shouldn't be a daily occurrence. It's also definitely not okay the husband is actively undermining the wife and saying that, well, I took them to Wendys and didn't ask because she would have rejected my idea anyway. Yeah, I wonder why. And there's also the fact that he's far more interested in being the fun dad than actually being a father. There's also some really interesting language choices like my kids instead of our kids. It's just a very subtle tell, and it's a bit concerning in my eyes. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget GamerSupps is doing 20% off for all partner codes, so if you use code Oz at checkout, you get 21% off. And yes, it does directly support me. I really do mean that. Again, the sale is going on until February 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all the way to February 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, not to mention, GamerSupps has more than just caffeine products. They have caffeine-free, they actually have ramen noodles, they have mouse pads, posters, t-shirts, their t-shirts are actually really comfortable, and just a lot of really cool stuff. Plus non-waifu stuff as well if you don't want to be wearing a degenerate shirt around, so there is that as well. They've actually got some really cool anime girl designs that I'm actually a really big fan of. So again, if you want to take advantage of the 21% off and get yourself a nice comfy shirt, this is like the perfect time to do it. Use code Oz at checkout because again, it does directly support me.